Of working with
we have been listening to the Senate Judiciary Committee's confirmation hearing of Christopher Wray. He is Donald Trump's appointee for the FBI, director of the FBI position. This is a really important position. You may recall that Director James Comey was fired in May, about a third of the way into what was supposed to be, or is typically, a 10-year term. And Christopher Wray is the one who's up for the job. Our justice reporter, Paula Reid, has been listening to the hearing. I guess the first question I want to ask you, Paula, is there anything that jumps out at you? What do you make so far of this hearing?
Well, so far it's been most interesting to watch how Republicans are handling this hearing. Typically, the party of the nominee tends to be the good cop in this kind of setting. They tend to highlight great cases you've worked on, your accomplishments. But here Republicans are in a little bit of a tricky spot based on the revelations from the Donald Trump Jr. emails yesterday. They cannot make it appear that they are not concerned about Russia, that they are not concerned about independence of the FBI from the White House. So that's why we saw Senator Grassley, the first question out of the gate, he asked, will you be independent of the White House? The theme of this whole hearing is independence. It is literally Independence Day for Christopher Wray. And he said yes. He said, I will do my job by the book, by the Constitution, without fear or favor. So they kind of got that out of the way, but then you're seeing Republicans turn to sort of their pet issues. Grassley was talking about whistleblower protections for the FBI. Here we have Senator Hatch talking about child predators. And Marie, we all know there's a lot going on right now with the special counsel, with this investigation, with the threat of ISIS here in the United States. So far, I think the most interesting thing has been watching Republicans try to walk this line of appearing concerned about independence, but not bringing up Russia. Of course, Russia and Comey, those were the first questions from the first Democratic senator we heard from.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that if you don't look to see who's got a D and who's got an R beside their name, you might not be able to tell the difference, and oftentimes you can. Included in Christopher Wray's opening statement, he made sure to address the idea of independence, and he sort of, this stands out to me because he was mostly reading from his paper except for a few key times, and this was one time that he made a point of looking up and looking into the eyes of the lawmakers when he said, I will never allow the FBI's work to be driven by anything other than the facts, the law, and the impartial pursuit of justice, period. This is a man who's obviously aware of the position that he's hoping to step into and the backdrop that surrounds it. Why do you think Christopher Wray wants this job?
That's a great question, and I think in a lot of ways that's the subtext of a lot of the questions that he has gotten. For example, Senator Feinstein asked, did you discuss former FBI Director Comey's firing with the White House? The subtext there is, are you concerned that your predecessor in this job was fired for allegedly how he handled the Clinton email matter, but then was subsequently called a nut job by the President of the United States? Do you have any concerns about that? And Wray said he did not discuss anything about Comey with the White House, but said when the Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein called him to offer him this job, he mentioned that Mueller was now in charge of the Russia matters and that would make for an easier landscape to take on this job. So it seems that even the Attorney General, the Deputy Attorney General, they know, even though this job comes with a lot of power and prestige, at this moment, it's hard to understand why anyone, especially someone making $9 million a year at a private law firm who has a nice life, would want this job. So it's sort of this tacit admission that, yeah, this is not an easy position that you are walking into.
Yeah, in fact, Christopher Wray expressed a lot of respect for Mueller. They know each other well enough. Let's talk a little bit about Christopher Wray's background. What sort of tools does he bring to the table?
Well, as I noted before he sat down, he does have some experience in the Justice Department, but he's not a career prosecutor. So he was in the Justice Department from about 1997 to about 2001 down in Georgia, an assistant U.S. attorney prosecuting the bread and butter kind of cases. But as we know, in 2011, this country, and specifically the mission of the Justice Department, changed enormously, and a lot of their resources were shifted to the fight against terrorism. And he came up to Washington, he became part of the Justice Department's leadership, and he was really at the center of a lot of the major terrorism cases around 9/11. So he has a lot of experience in terrorism, which will certainly help him as we now turn our focus to ISIS, particularly those people here in the United States who are fighting on their behalf. And Marie, just a few days ago, there was a U.S. soldier who had pledged allegiance to ISIS, who was trying to hand them classified information. And I think it was yesterday, we had a bomb go off at a recruiting center. He appears to have the experience to address that threat. However, he has spent the past decade in private practice, working as a defense attorney. So this is not a career public servant. This is someone who has some experience in the Justice Department, but has spent over the last decade away from the spotlight and out of public service.
Okay, Paula, I want to ask you a little bit about that private service, but for now, though, I know we'll get back to you.